Alrighty, everybody. This is the second part of the video about how to use this list of strategies. Okay, so what we did when we talked about the last video, we talked about the first few strategies that we spent a lot of time on. Now we're going down to where we've already dissected the prompt, and we're using that to come to the main idea statement. So again, from before, if we're looking at what it's asking us to do, I'll open that up really fast. But it's asking us to tell what the future food is from the title of the story. How do people feel about this, right? So, what would be the first one? How do people feel? And then, do you think it's a good idea, right? If I were a writer or a reader looking at this as my question that I had to answer, I would see three things here, right? I would say, okay, well, what the future food is, that could be one main idea statement, and I could end up writing a whole paragraph about just what that food is, right? Then how do people feel about this according to the article? Well, that would be another main idea statement that would go in my intro, and then later I could write a whole paragraph about it. And then I definitely know if I have an opinion about if I think it's a good idea or not. I could write a main idea statement about that, and I could also write a whole paragraph about it. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, so going back into this, right, we'll make those main idea statements and then we write them out. So that might look like something, again, this is all in your intro, because when you start your introduction, you really wow people, right? You bring them into it. And then somewhere in that intro paragraph, you're going to have your main idea statements. So let's say mine is the future food is this type of burger, and it was invented by this scientist, right? And then how do people feel about this future food according to the article? Well, according to the article, or from what I read in the article, this certain person feels good about it, and this person in the article feels bad about it because blah, blah, blah. And then lastly, my main idea statement that I might write out would be, well, I think this is a great idea because it goes to talk about a future of our food or blah, blah, blah. Do you see how I'm doing that? I'm taking each part of the question and I'm answering it in just one statement that we know that I'm going to break down in other paragraphs later. So that's step 6. Now, step 7 or strategy 7 is where we actually create the outline of our essay. And we've done this in class before. Paragraph 1, that's the intro that we talked about. That's the intro that we talked about. Okay, so that's where your main idea statements are going to go and where you're going to get people's attention. Paragraphs 2, 3, and 4, those are your body paragraphs. So that's where you're going to have main idea 1, it's going to become its own paragraph. Main idea 2, it's going to become its own paragraph. And main idea 3, that's going to become its own paragraph. And what does the conclusion do? It wraps up everything that came before it. Okay, so that's step 7. Step 8 in these strategies is to actually write the introduction and grab people's attention, right? You want to make them actually care about reading. And I told you guys before, if you start off your essay like, hello, everyone, my name is Eric, and I'm going to write you an essay about future food, nobody is going to want to read that. I wouldn't want to read that, right? Because it's boring. And it's because it's something that if you're reading an article about it, well, yeah, you obviously know what it's going to talk about. So make me interested in it, right? So I might start off by saying something, um, the burger from this article called Future Food is going to change the way we eat forever, right? You can't steal that one, but maybe that might be how I would start off my introduction to grab people's attention. Number 9 says to write the body paragraphs about your main idea sentences that use text evidence to answer the questions. So again, once you start writing paragraph 2, right, that's where you're putting your first main idea statement. You're turning that main idea statement into a full paragraph. So again, if your first main idea was about the future food from the title of this story, that's where you might say, the future food is this. And one detail from the story explains this about it. And another detail from the story tells us that it will last this long. And the third detail is how you make it, right? So each one of those main idea paragraphs is obviously going to have your main idea in it. But most importantly, it has the details and evidence that you quote from the article to explain it. Remember, if you take something out of the article, you have to put quotation marks around it because otherwise it's called plagiarism because it's like you're pretending that whatever they said in the article was actually your own words. Be back at it again in the next video right now.